Okay, hello everyone and welcome. I am Kelsey Woodward, the Content Marketing Manager here at GiveSmart, and we are thrilled to have everyone here with us today. So today is actually a special webinar for us. We're going to be focusing on how you can run your holiday fundraiser virtually. So with a little bit of, not a little hybrid, but a few hybrid ideas mixed in, and we hope you brought your festive gear or perhaps a pumpkin. That's what I brought, because today we're gonna have some fun with this. And with me today are GiveSmart's own Susanna Crawford, our community manager, and Serena D'Angela, a senior customer success manager here. And they both came to GiveSmart from nonprofits. So they both have plenty of experience under their belts and both continue to serve as fundraising consultants within their communities in North Carolina and Los Angeles, respectively. So Susanna and Serena, thank you both for being here today.
Thanks for having us. This will be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting started.
Okay, cool. So before we kick off, we're going to start with a poll. And if everyone could weigh in on how confident are you that you'll reach your goals this year? So not so hot, we're getting there, we'll hit it for sure, or we may surpass it. And so while everyone weighs in on that, I just want to say I know Susanna and Serena have had a blast brainstorming ideas to share today, as well as going through some really great campaigns that we've seen GiveSmart customers run. So we'll be sharing those ideas as well. Something in here for everyone today, also things that you can use throughout the entire year, not just the next couple of months. So sit back and open up your creative mind. And as we proceed this afternoon, also let us know, use that chat box that you might see on the right-hand side once you finish filling out the poll. And you can go ahead and put thoughts in there, share any creative ideas that you have, ask us questions. We'll be watching that as we go today. Okay. So if we can go ahead and close the poll. Okay. All right. So moving on. Today we're going to talk through finding a few different things. So one is finding your fit as an organization. We have a lot of ideas today, so up to you to determine what suits your needs for you and your team. We're also going to go through examples, as I mentioned before, of your peers and campaigns that they have run. And finally, tips and tricks to properly execute this campaign. Susanna and Serena will spend their days looking at GiveSmart campaigns, so they definitely have good ideas to pull best practices for us. So now I'm going to toss it over to Serena to get us started.
All right, thank you, Kelsey. So to get started, we're going to talk about what fits your organization. So on today's webinar, we're going to be going over a lot of different campaigns. As we go through them, start to ask yourself some of these questions and think about how you can fit in a holiday campaign into your fundraising plans. So some of the questions that you can consider, we have listed out here. So first is the when. Look at your events calendar. Do you normally host a fall or winter gala? Or are you already planning some holiday programming that you could maybe add a fundraising element to? Or, maybe there's space to add something new. I would recommend to look at your calendar about 6 months out for your outlook, find your gaps, and then figure out when is right for you. Next is going to be the why. So you want to consider, is there a gap of funds that are needed right now? How much is that, and when do you need it by? Specific fund needs are really great just to create a tangible goal that your donors can help you reach and makes them really feel a part of the movement. Finally, this will take some work, so you need to think about the how, set some realistic goals, and ask yourself, what is the capacity of your team right now? Have questions answers, then you can decide how exactly you're going to incorporate this holiday fundraiser. Would you rather add an element to an existing campaign, or maybe add something completely new? Wherever you are in your journey, you can always add a holiday element, like a voting, which we'll talk about later, some of these different elements you can include, online store, raffle, all these fun kinds of things. But Like an example, if you're having a breakfast with Santa, you could always add in a silent auction or a raffle to that. Actually, it takes me back to the first time I went to a breakfast with Santa and I won a bowling ball at a raffle. It's just like a little thing like that, but I still have that bowling ball, and it's just like a nice way to, add some fun, but also add some fundraising into your holiday events. So, you have that option, but then you also have the possibility of doing something completely new. As you may not know, but you should, that GiveSmart, with your subscription, you have unlimited campaigns that you can create. So, think about what you can do, and really you can do as much as you can handle. So let's see, Susanna, what can you tell us about this graph for the timing for this?
Yeah, those are great questions, Serena, that every organization should be asking themselves throughout this presentation here. But while you're thinking about these and kind of jotting down notes, I have some data that we thought might be useful for you. So pulling from the data of all GiveSmart, almost 5,000 customers, here's a graph. And this graph shows from the first time a dollar was raised on a campaign to the event end date, okay? And up until March 2020, we were seeing about an average of people promoting in that first dollar raised about 55 days before their event. And since March 2020, we've seen that skyrocket, and we're now averaging at about 77 days between that first dollar and that campaign end. Why I think this is helpful for you is, what we're seeing is people are going away from just, having a campaign with a donation and ticketing, but adding some of these elements that we're going to go through really allow you to increase your engagement and open up a little bit earlier and start from there. So yeah, we'll keep going to the next slide if we can, Kelsey. Perfect. And this is a time, once you've kind of understood where your organization is at with what you can do, the key here, we're going to go through some of these, is to really just pick one or two of these ideas that we come up with here and pick a few of them, and then pick a few elements and be able to walk away with something today. But Serena, can you start by going through the first two types of holiday or celebrations to build a campaign around?
Absolutely. So as you can see, there are a lot of things to choose from. So you want to find something that's really going to fit your organization, your mission. So you can find a theme that really speaks to you. This could be something that's timely. So, we've got Halloween coming up, Veterans Day, we've got the Christmas or the winter seasonal holidays coming up as well. So maybe it's just something that works with your time, or maybe it's going to be something that really works with your mission. Something like Veterans Day that's coming up on November 11th, and you can do some kind of Thank a Veteran campaign, having a virtual parade, having just even with your branding to red, white, and blue. So there's lots of things you can do to just incorporate that theme into your event. With the winter holidays, I actually have a really cool event coming up this next month that's doing a global holiday shopping mall. And what they're doing is they're taking a few different holidays from around the world, and they're incorporating them all into one event. And they're going to be posting recipes from each different, like traditional recipes from each holiday. They're going to be posting, having like an expert to do a talk about each thing, and it's all going to come together with like a holiday party at the end. You can really get creative, and you don't have to just have one. You can do more seasonal things that are really going to, be more inclusive with your entire base. So that's the traditional holidays. Those are the ones that are the most well-known. People already are familiar with these already, so you don't really have to build them out and explain them. You can just really have fun with them. And then getting into the national celebrations, there's so many things. There's the big ones. There's like Mother's Day and Father's Day, Friendship Day. You could do some kind of friendship bracelet sale. Mother's Day, we've got flower sales. Or you could do something like World Kindness Day, which is on November 13th. Plan your whole fall fundraiser to fall on that day, and incorporate into your script things about kindness. I've got an organization, Tish, with Arc of Martin County, and they're doing something on World Kindness Day with just incorporating that into their theme. So get creative and see what you already have coming up, see what you can build in. So yeah, what about the impact related, Susanna?
Perfect, thanks. And first typo here, just want to point out, is Giving Tuesday is December 1st, for those who know that already. And impact related is kind of another genre of a theme that you could build a campaign around. This has to do with awareness months. This has to do with more impact and related to your mission. This is something that makes you unique. And so picking something like this, even just a quick Google search, will help you figure out what is closest to your mission, as well as looking what other nonprofits are doing for that is a great way to get involved, connect with other people, and see kind of what other campaigns are going on around your mission.
Okay, great. And so now we're going to get into these kind of specific types of campaigns and fundraising elements that go with it. So these are ones that we have seen other organizations run, and you can pull different ideas to hopefully find one that fits your organization. And before I toss it over to Susanna, I just want to also note that this call will be recorded today, and we will be sending that out in an email later this evening with all of the relevant resources that we mentioned and links to these campaigns as well. So have no fear, we will send that along. Over to you, Susanna.
Thanks. Okay, so here's one of the first examples that we have of a holiday theme. Huge shout out here to Oxford Kids Foundation. Becca is their leader there, and amazing things what they've done here. We're talking about virtual walks as a campaign type here. This is something that people have incorporated with multiple elements. However, they are just doing this campaign with their virtual walk. Few things to point out here. To do their walk, it's $25. And what we're seeing a lot of these virtual walks is that people can either walk or run, and there's usually a time limit for them to do it. This one spans over a month. They will end on the 31st, and using this awesome scavenger hunt, as well as this hashtag, they will be choosing winners for best costume, best selfie, and best scenery. What I love about this as well is just how clear the guest experience is written on their homepage. These are all screenshots from their GiveSmart homepage. And so you can see just, as I'm getting on, I know exactly what I'm doing. And they have a really clear hashtag. So anyone who wants to follow along, including you, can get on and see what's going on at the Oxford Kids Foundation, as well as this is how people are sending in their photos as well. Great engagement tool. And fantastic. So again, huge shout out to you guys. Serena, can you tell us a little bit more about other different ways that people can incorporate walks during this season?
Sure, absolutely. So some examples I've seen would be even just something like an autumn stroll. Everyone likes to take a walk around the foliage, so planning something around that. Doing something like an Outrun Hunger, a virtual 5K, as one of my organizations is doing. So planning it around those big holidays or just seasonal. It's a great way to incorporate the holiday element into these 5Ks. And then just to talk a little bit about the logistics of how this would work. You have to, just depending on what you're going to offer, it's how you can decide on your price point. I've seen them just be free with a donation, or if you're going to include like a t-shirt, a medal, maybe upping it up to $20 to $45. And doing things like having a waiver that you can incorporate onto the site, having a form where they can submit their times. I've also seen some groups working with a virtual running app. Everyone is going to virtual these days, so there's different things you can do to incorporate and really get that same feel as if you're all together, but just doing it all socially distant.
Yeah, perfect. And I love what you said too, like it may be money to register for the event, or you might do it for free, and you can do it again, like selling t-shirts. I've seen people sell masks on these. I've seen raffles included with virtual walks. Peer-to-peer campaign put in here too, so people can kind of be captains and then go out and fundraise for you and promote for you this race. We have a champions feature here that might work for that. And the real cool thing about walks is promotion is huge. You can reach out to local walking groups, to local clubs around, and this is something that a lot of people can do. They can walk, they can run, they like Halloween, they like your mission. very easy promotion here.
Yeah, I think it's helpful to have some kind of video to really explain how it works. You know, this is going to be new for a lot of people, so if you can have a video that explains it, I think that would help as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we can, Susanna, do you have anything else about 5Ks, or do you want to move on to voting?
Yeah, let's keep going on to voting, because I think you're exactly right. We're going to talk about the use of videos throughout all of these, and videos are incredible, walking through that guest experience. And so we'll talk about that. But in this, here's another example of a different type of element you could do. So we have virtual voting contest. Here's a fun one done by the Humane Society of Utah. It's a doppelganger contest. So they had people submit their dog or cat or from the Humane Society itself, and then did lookalike contest. So some statistics from here. They had 16 entries for people to vote on. It was $1 per vote, and they raised $1,200 doing this. They also raised $200 in donations, and they had over 100 people participate. So that just shows what an expansive reach voting can do. We've seen it incorporated a lot with other campaigns, as well as this is a typical standalone campaign that voting features on. But Serena, tell us a little bit more about how you could set a voting feature up and what that looks like.
Sure. Well, setting up a voting campaign is really easy. It's really just an item, so you can choose that item from the item type from the list. You can make the price just $1, and that way you really get like more people to participate and just have like 100% of participation, because everyone can afford $1 to participate. Or if you feel like you can, if your donors can afford it, maybe doing up to $5 or $10. But keeping that cost pretty low so you can have more participation with that. But really, it's just a matter of setting up the items. As Susanna said, we love videos. You can add a video to each voting item. So someone explaining what they're doing, maybe with a holiday cocktail, posting a recipe, posting them making the video. So lots of ways that you can really personalize this voting item and make it your own.
Yeah, exactly. This is really like a low barrier to entry fundraising technique. So it's a huge way to expand your reach and potentially get new donors just by attracting them to something fun. A good example, we had St. Mary's School, and they did a OTR, an outside the room web. Check that out. They did a dancing competition campaign. So for their virtual gala, they had people send in videos of them dancing. Which is so fun because you can upload the videos directly into these items that we're talking about on GiveSmart. I think a polar plunge would be fun, like getting people to do the polar plunge, which is basically just jumping in freezing water, dumping it over their head, and then having people vote on that. I think that would be so funny. I would definitely get into that one. And Serena, curious too, from seeing this all the time, what is the typical length that a voting competition is run for?
I would say, like with most things on the site, you're going to want to keep it to 1 to 2 weeks. It could go up to a whole month because you want time to explain it and promote it, but not to have people burnt out on it. So really, like 2 weeks is a good sweet spot for these voting competitions.
Perfect. And we just had someone write in as well for your listeners that they're doing a favorite pet contest today, $5 to enter a pick, $3 to vote. So you can see that this is something that people are doing, and that is awesome. Super encouraging. Thanks for writing in and telling us that this is already working for you. Love it.
Voting I love that. I love the idea of having a pay to actually submit. And we know with submissions, you don't want to rely on just submissions alone. You want to kind of have that backup. So really get your leadership involved. Who doesn't want to dunk some ice water on their boss's head or have them dress up in a costume. So you want to have those fail safes, those backups that you can make sure this is going to be successful and exciting for everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's keep going to the next one. Online stores. Okay, so here we go. So when I remember growing up, my grandma was in a crafting group at her local organization, and they always had these massive craft sales and did all this really awesome community work through that. And this is something I think that can even come online nowadays to be modernized. We have a perfect example here. So Holy Angels Parent Teacher Association, organization, they have done 2 different events, or online stores so far. We have one for wreaths, which you can see here, and they also did one for candy bars. Both of these were done with partnerships. So they're working with a local organization to get all of these wreaths and do all of this, and then they're selling it through their online store. And I love this because you can also see like they're selling the door hanger, the velvet bows, anything that people could want. They really worked with their partner to create an awesome opportunity for people to just do their Christmas shopping online in a different way while supporting you. And last thing to kind of point out here, what I also loved about them is they made this so easy for people to purchase it. They put this all on an order form on their site. So basically what that guest experience is they go on the site, they click one button, everything is right there, and they can add it into a cart and press purchase, and it just collects the funds right there. On their homepage, they put information about how to order it, how the payment works, how the card is just charged, about covering transaction fees, because people can do that for you here. They put information on how to pick up stuff. And that's where I'll kind of go here actually. Serena, can you talk about like pickup and delivery on this kind of stuff? And with holiday campaigns, how are you seeing pickup and delivery work?
Sure. So I think with pickup and delivery, you just want to have a really clear outline, maybe in a custom section or a custom page on your site where you're explaining how it'll work. But you could just post a location and have specific times for the pickup. Or you could even do a delivery, maybe like some kind of drive-through where people are coming, or either you're driving to their homes and dropping them off, or they're coming to a place and maybe doing some kind of drive-through for pickup. Or you could also do shipping. With GiveSmart, you can add an instant item for a shipping cost and build that cost in, or just build that cost into the starting price. So, a few different ways to get around the cost with that. But in general, just having a pickup location and really explaining that on the site well, doing an email to winners or email to purchasers, that's going to be helpful as well.
Yeah, I love that. And always tying it back to the mission, I think, is something really important with online stores. So instead of just being like, here, buy a wreath, it's like, buy a wreath because the money goes back to your mission. And that's really where you can stand out from the crowd of other people who might be doing things online, or just, the online sales community that there is in general. So being able to tie your mission back to it and really give, if you buy this, this is what that does. And being able to connect it back, I think, is a huge thing and part of an online store.
Absolutely. And work with what you have. If you don't have a lot of inventory, then make it an auction. If you just have one of everything and then there's, one winner. So, work with what you have.
Great point. Yep. And as much as I love going into this, as much as I love the store purchase of people buying things for themselves, holiday spirit, right? It's about giving to others as well. And that's what everyone listening is good at. So a few examples here of how people are creating campaigns in order to serve their populations better in this holiday time. This first one, Norwalk Catholic School is putting together this campaign right now. They caught my eye for sure. If you're listening, it's awesome. They're doing a virtual PTO Secret Santa shop. So online, they're promoting it to parents. Parents can go online and purchase water bottles, school swag, different little gift items. And then what the PTO does is they will deliver it to the child's classroom on Monday or Wednesday in December. So that is a great example of a way to connect to your audience, but also give back. Serena, can you lead us through the next one? I know you're working with this org.
Yes, so the LaPorte County Association of Realtors, they do this event every year. It's a big community effort where they have lots of different, radio stations, community organizations, all helping to fundraise to sponsor a shopping trip for children. So deserving children in the area, they get to go shopping with the funds raised from this. So this is just, a really nice way to give back and partner with another charity to just come together for a great cause. And since they're moving virtual this year, because everyone can't gather to celebrate the end and the results, they're doing a virtual happy hour. So still getting everyone all together and just talking about how everything went and doing a one final push for donations. That's a great way to, even though you can't meet in person, you can get together on Zoom, see each other's faces, and celebrate together.
I love that so much. And I'm curious, let's do a little hand raise test here. So find your hand raise on the side. And I'm curious, has anyone ever done anything like a Secret Santa or Angel Tree, sponsor a family? How many people are out there kind of working on these types of campaigns right now? They're interesting. And I think something that we're finding a little bit like more of a challenge here is promotion on these types of campaigns. So Serena, you had this come up, and it's like someone asked, like, how to do a sponsor the family, or provide presents for your population, the kids that you serve, whatever that is. And being really cautious and just thoughtful is a better word, and the verbiage that you use on these campaigns. And maybe this is not something that you promote out on your social media, right? Maybe this is not something that you do massive email blasts. Maybe these are the types of things that you promote only to your board and to that kind of donor base. You just don't want to make sure that people are seeing, you fundraise for their Christmas presents. You don't want to see kids have that. So just being cautious kind of that verbiage. And curious, Serena, do you have any tips or best practices around that?
Well, I think it really just comes to knowing your audience and then knowing who you can reach out to. I feel like people really do want to give to these kinds of things. So you do want to share it, but you just want to do it in a thoughtful way. So, like Susanna said, reaching out to your people who who would be interested with a direct email campaign, and really just keeping that language vague. You're not saying be a Santa, but maybe just keeping it like sponsored child shopping trip. Maybe also not having specific families that you're helping, but just an overall like pot that people would then go to use to buy gifts. So there's definitely ways you can. And I would also love to hear from the audience. What is everyone else thinking about ways you can incorporate something like this?
Yes, please do let us know how you're doing this. We'd love to see it done. I mean, I think the final thought on this is you have a population you serve and you have donors who want to, help. And so how do you bridge that gap? And how do you kind of let donors give directly to those people in kind of a fun and creative way? So again, an online store doing something, creating a campaign around online giving is a potential for you this year. All right, let's keep going on. Okay, so Serena and I had a lot of fun getting creative and brainstorming how you guys can do things. And so we had a few different types of campaigns that we've seen come through lately that we thought was definitely worth bringing out. So I'll go through the first here. And the first type is an educational event. We talked with My Friend's Place on the last Outside the Room webinar. If you got a chance to go back and check that out, we will send you that resource as well. And they did panel discussions with experts around topics that affect their mission. It's a very proactive way of getting your mission out there and getting people talking about, what affects you. And so doing an educational event is definitely something to consider. We have a few ideas like New Year wellness seminars, again, panel discussions on your impact. With this, My Friend's Place, they were able to raise $2,000 unintentionally. That's what they said, unintentional fundraising, because people went to these panel discussions and were like, wow, what My Friend's Place is doing is really important. And that's something that I want to be involved in. And so giving people that education tools behind why your stuff matters could lead to fundraising and lead to engagement that you didn't even know was possible. So that's one campaign type to consider. Another one is super creative here. Reserve a spot. Okay, so go with me here. Like, this is a great way to use your volunteers, to use your board members, to use, the plethora of teenagers you have at your disposal to help out during the holidays to volunteer. Setting up a campaign for people to go reserve a visit from Santa. Or if you are an arts organization, maybe you do Christmas caroling and people can have Christmas carolers come to their house. Obviously, you set up some guidelines here and rules and such, but it definitely could be done. And I also wanted to say this because if you are in the Carolinas region, Charlotte specifically, and doing a caroling or something like this, please let us know. You have your first person right here who will sign up. And I'll pass it to you, Serena, for a few of these extra creative ways.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you're gonna be there for the Christmas caroling, I think I want to get in on those wine and paint parties. So anything in the greater LA area, incorporating some wine and paint, that's all me. But really, you can get creative and you can have fun because these are things that people like to do. And around the holiday season, people like to find, different interesting ways to celebrate. And why not celebrate and also get some fundraising in at the same time? So, a couple of these ideas and maybe how to do some high level logistics on these things with crafting workshops. So you could have making a wreath party, pumpkin carving. It's not too late to do something for Halloween and pumpkin carving. And you can offer to have maybe a socially distant space in a park where people can gather together to do this. Or you can have a pickup location where they can pick up their supplies and then do this from home, having something live streamed where you're explaining how to create the wreath. So that way it's more of a hybrid, or if they want to be together, socially distant, then they can, but maybe they don't have to. So really just getting creative with, how you can incorporate these kind of fun ideas. Beer tasting and wine tasting, very, very common nowadays. So you could do something like partnering with a local winery, splitting the profits there where you are both benefiting each other. There's lots of things you can do to really just get creative.
Yeah, that's perfect, Serena. I think just emphasizing again, working with partners right now. I've heard so many examples of organizations who have been like, yeah, well, we've had this donor who's donated wine to us for years and, they're struggling at this point too. So we wanted to kind of work together and, they get all the ticket proceeds while we get anything else that's donated or done through that. So partnerships are a great way to kind of collaborate, and you can use their base as well to promote that event. So quick plug there, wanted to emphasize that. And while we're here, so the drive-in movie theater, this is something we've seen more and more, obviously, since March, but huge shout out to the Autism Up team, Sue specifically. And what they've done is they put together, this was back in August, they did a socially distant drive-in event. And how I feel like this relates is how fun would it be to do a holiday movie? And if you don't have a drive-in, that's fine. Do you have a building with a blank wall and a projector? Do you have people who would maybe house small groups to watch a movie together? You can kind of take this and go any way with it. There are so many holiday movies out there. And so doing a movie night in all different ways would be awesome. Few things to point out, what you're seeing on the screen here, how they did it with a full drive-in effect. It was $50 for a car to come in. And then they also did a silent auction. They did raffles with this. They sold t-shirts. They sold masks. They made this, a huge event, and it was super successful. So that is very exciting and something that we wanted to share with you guys as a great idea as well. All right. Okay, Kelsey, we can keep going.
Okay, sorry, it's on mute. And so, yeah, wow, thank you. That was a heck of a lot of ideas. And so now let's talk about actually, okay, we have all these ideas. How can we actually build these campaigns, pull them off, and make them stand out? I think that we're going to see a lot of fundraisers this fall, in addition to, the usual holiday fundraisers. that happen as well. And so how can we make these campaigns, stand out from the rest?
Yeah. Okay, so perfect. So building your campaign is one of the first things. Once you've kind of decided, being able to build that homepage is really important here. So on the left side, on the right side, what we're seeing is the first one is from Cure Childhood Cancer. What they've done awesome here is really connect their mission to the impact levels. So using graphics is a great way, especially around your impact, The next kind of part, these are from the Alzheimer's Association down at the bottom. But the real point here is the video use. Let's go back to this. Videos are key, whether that is a video guiding people through the experience that you're bringing them on, very simple, or we have seen a lot of uptake in events that are like a week long. And so people are sending out one video at a time and during the day. And so uploading those videos back to that homepage is really important. To think of this homepage as a really fluid piece of communication. It's not something that you're just going to put up one time and walk away with. You're going to be able to continue to engage people and send them back to this. So making sure that your videos make you stand out, and then using campaign techniques to get those videos out, huge. Last kind of example here at the bottom is this thank you video. After your campaign is done and wrapped up, making sure you kind of go back, put a thank you video from people that were affected by it, sharing results with people, and really keeping them re-engaged is going to be a best way to keep that relationship going. And Serena, maybe tell us a few of these other ones on this list on the side.
Absolutely. Well, I think that you really hit the nail on the head with the re-engagement. Every time someone comes to the site, it's a new opportunity for some more activity to happen. So having those updates that you're referring back to, sending text messages to the site, maybe you're having some new items. Really, it's really important to keep that engagement going, and the homepage is a great way to do so. On the homepage, people are going to have questions, so you can just get ahead of that and have an FAQ section that you have set up. Being able to have custom pages that you can link to will keep your homepage nice and clean, but then having like a how-to video. We've got so many graphics and resources that you can pull from our help center to incorporate into your how-tos, into your FAQs, making sure you're putting some information about how to pay. So just making it really clear, your donors are really going to appreciate that, and it's just gonna, if you tell them what to do, they will do it. They just need that prompt, be able to how to engage with your campaign.
Yeah, I think that's all great points, and especially nowadays when the point is to really expand your reach and engage more on some of these. Can't tell you how many campaigns I go to on a daily basis that just have, ticket purchase, thank you to our sponsors, here's how to make a donation. But when I'm finding these campaigns, the most thrilling ones that keep me engaged, where I go follow their hashtags, finding them even on Google and stuff, like you can find all these examples of how people are doing it, but once they get to your page, what's going to keep them going? What type of verbiage can you give them to make the next step is just really key in putting that in there. And then when it comes to separating, designing that page, you can definitely use custom sections in there as well. So putting what's most prevalent up. If that's your sponsors, a lot of people it is. But I would say it's probably that FAQ section, that how to get engaged, and your ticket purchase or whatever we want them to click on can go on top. But then, you can also use secondary pages that kind of link off. If your content gets way too long, you can start to kind of think about how you can do duplicate secondary pages and such like that too.
Right. Yeah, you want to look at it like an inverted triangle. So the biggest, most important things should be at the top, and then as it goes down the page, things that are still, important, but maybe less integral to the mission. So, your call to action should be higher on the page. But yeah, I think it's lots of good things you can do.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, let's keep going here. So as you're starting to plan that communication strategy out, we all know that communication strategy is something that potentially takes the longest, and just, when do we send it out? How do we do this? So here's some data for you. From, again, the pool of GiveSmart customers, what we are seeing here. So this is the user's time of day on a GiveSmart campaign. Again, as you would think, we're seeing a lot of that weeknight heaviest users, but you're also seeing, during the week, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday is really just the heaviest overall. So if you're sending out text messages, if you're doing that kind of stuff, this might be your prime time that people are going to be accessing the page. And as you can see, like early morning, not so great. Tuesdays, not so great for some reason. But it's about, like, if you're closing down your auction, if you are announcing your winners to something, pick a prime time. That is going to be key here. And then you can also see, viewers are averaging 6 pages per session. So strategy, do you want them on your homepage? Do you want them on your sponsors secondary page? Do you want them literally viewing on your voting items? Is that what you want? And we average about 6 pages per session. And then, 3 minutes per site visit. So that's interesting. As well as, like, the last thing here is mobile. 62% of people who are engaging on these sites are using their mobile device. So biggest takeaway for me is whatever you're doing and whenever you're designing your campaign, check your mobile view, and make sure that it is very interactive and very easy to engage with. And on that, I'll kind of pass it to Serena. Is there any other wisdom that you see taking from this for people who are listening?
Sure. Well, yeah, I think the mobile component is super important. We're going to be on our phone. We're on our phones 99% of the day, I feel like. So you really do want to optimize for mobile. And with mobile, you want to keep your messaging short and sweet. You don't want to have too much that's going to be too hard to read. And you know how people's attention spans get. So there's so many distractions on your phone. So what can you do to really keep them engaged, but for a short amount of time? If you think about the time spent on this site is around 3 minutes. Maybe we've talked a lot about videos. Maybe your video is 45 seconds to a minute. So it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be complicated. It could just be something to grab people's attentions and make them want to know more and do more. So yeah, I think overall keeping things that are mobile friendly is going to be great.
Perfect. Thanks, Serena. And here's our last slide here for you guys today, and kind of a case study a little bit. So we've thrown out a lot of different, days you could celebrate and elements you could add to do that. Here's a good example of how that and is standing out right now. So Santa Maria Community Services in Ohio. I read last night that Giving Tuesday in 2019 got 20 billion impressions with their hashtag. How do you stand out of 20 billion hashtags, right? So let's add some elements into this to engage people. Here's what Santa Maria is doing. They're doing, again, what we talked about, videos daily. So for 1 week leading up to Giving Tuesday, they're doing a different video of someone who is impacted by what they do. Some are board members, some are donors, some are the people they serve. They're also put quotes from the people who they serve under their, right above their donation option on their homepage. I love this. I think it's really tangible if I were to go on and try to make a donation. And they also offered people the chance to do a one-time or a monthly gift. So not just a Giving Tuesday gift, but if you connect me enough, maybe I'll give monthly to your organization, and I have the option to do that here. Last few things here is they are doing an online sale. So they've partnered with a local organization, ceramics company, who did I forget what it was, a bowl-a-thon, where they made all of these different ceramic bowls for this community services. And then they're selling them. So this is a campaign that Santa Maria has tried earlier this year and had major success on. They sold 50% of their bowls that they had on the site, and for their first time, they consider that an awesome success. So they're trying it again, and it's already selling. So that's fantastic, doing an online sales component, as well as they're doing raffles too. So they did 6 raffles on their last campaign. They'll do similar, but again, this is just a way for people to get in the door, and so that you have their information, so that they're connected with you again, and it's an engagement tool. So adding a few of these things here for your Giving Tuesday, a great way to stand out.
Definitely. Yeah, I really like that example because it's true. You know, adding in those small elements like a raffle or an online sales, those are going to be the things that you can incorporate. Everyone can join in on. And it's going to be those things that maybe it's going to get you to your goal, and it's going to engage your donors in a way that you wouldn't think you'd be able to do just in a gala room and asking for just donations. You know, Giving Tuesday really is a saturated market, so doing something unique like this will help you stand out. And you also don't have to limit it to one day. You know, it is Giving Tuesday, but you can do a lead up to Giving Tuesday. You can have people pledging their gifts to actually give on Giving Tuesday. So really just having these engaging campaigns is going to open doors a lot for you for potential new donors.
Yeah, thanks, Serena. And as we kind of wrap up here with these content, I just want to, emphasize that any of these elements can, again, be just added into something you're already planning, or they can be a whole standalone campaign if you really need to bridge that gap. But just wrapping it back up of knowing where your organization is in need right now, and then just picking 1 or 2 things out of all of this is a great way to get started on this. And again, we'd love to hear from you if this stood out to you. What are you doing? I know you can do it. So excited to hear and talk to you guys about what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do what you can handle. You know, pick what you can, pick what's going to fit within your time commitment, but you can do it. There's always something that you can do to really just engage your donors, even if it's small.
Yes, amazing. Thank you both for all of that. That is a wrap. We're going to just get into questions in just a moment, but just wanted to just make a quick note that coming up on October 29th, we're going to talk about virtual and social ways that you can grow your donor base during our webinar on expanding your organization's reach. So again, in our email that we send following up, we will send out a link for that if you guys would like to join. So great. Now let's jump into questions. If you haven't already submitted a question and would like to, please go ahead and pop that in. So, okay, the first question is for Serena. Going back, I know we talked about voting sites. So how do you set up a voting site?
Sure, for setting up a voting site, it's really just a matter of creating some items. So your items, instead of choosing a silent auction or a donation item, we have a vote item. And that will allow you to, add an image, add a description, add a price per vote, and, add a video too if you would like to. So once you have your items set up, you can add those items to your home page, add them to the order form, and then it's all really just about promoting and sharing it out. Suzanne, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you're right on the head. I would just emphasize the use of videos when it comes to voting. The most successful ones that I've seen have had video component to it.
Absolutely.
Great, thanks. And we do actually have a blog post on that, so we will send that in the email. Okay, Susanna, how can a virtual running app be incorporated? Are there any certain ones that are more compatible with GiveSmart? So for 5K.
Yeah, great question. Serena, you might have this too from in the day-to-day, but as of right now, I do not believe that there's anything incorporated into the sites. What I've seen people do is, again, making it really clear on their homepage how people participate. So it would be like, you do steps 1, 2, and 3 on GiveSmart, and then, log your time here, and they provide a link directly to that. But there's no integration that I know of at this point with any of them. And Serena,
okay,
is that
cool?
That's what you're doing too?
Yeah, so no integration, but you can add a link to the app as they're buying a ticket or a registration ticket. You can add a link to where they can go to download the app to log their time. You could do a Google form or something like that where you're having people submit their times as well. So it doesn't have to be something like the same app that everyone uses. It can just be, using Strava or Nike Fitness Club or these different things that will track your movement anyway, and then just submitting that as a screenshot. Or, there are those virtual 5K apps out there. So you can look into getting something that's going to do it all together in one, that you would then just add that link onto the GiveSmart site to merge the two. Great question.
Cool. Okay, Serena, question for you. Any ideas on how to run a virtual Christmas tree lighting?
Ooh, virtual Christmas tree lighting. I think it's going to be good to have a blend of submissions. So having people submit images using a hashtag to get people who are maybe just posting theirs on, Instagram and Facebook, and then highlighting those. So a mix of having submissions and then having your own examples for tree lighting. Incorporating a theme, I think, is great too. So really tying it back to your mission, like having Christmas trees that are really connected to your mission, and the ornaments and the decorations like that. You could even build some kind of, ornament painting party into that. So adding multiple elements into your event. So those are just a couple ideas, but really the possibilities are endless of what you could do.
Okay, question for Susanna.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, if you want to add to that, go ahead. I was going to ask you the next question.
The only thing I would add to that is just making it like some sort of voting like winners or prizes to that. So just like they had, Oxford Kids has, best costume, best scenery, different types of options, creating a whole spectrum of what could be a winner is one thing. And then two, also I've found that there's a lot more engagement with voting competitions and getting people to send stuff in is if you do exactly what Serena said by creating a few examples of exactly what you're looking for and sending that out to people. They're more likely to do it if they have an example first.
Right. No one wants to be first, but everyone wants to join in once you see what the possibilities are. And, adding again, videos. Videos are great. Add a video of your tree lighting. Maybe put it to some music, maybe get all of the submissions and put them all together and have some kind of carol of the bells going on in the background. Like, you can really just have fun with it.
Okay, Susanna, this one is for you. Hosting an event that's safe, socially distanced, and engaging, but we're having a hard time getting people to register. Any creative ideas on how to spread the message?
Yeah, it's a great question. Engagement tools are huge right now. I love the selfie scavenger hunt. I love that idea of being able to promote, but I also love the idea of looking around in your local organization. Are there clubs meeting? Like, are there clubs and different things that are attached to your mission or maybe attached to exactly what you're doing? I'm not sure your exact campaign, but like a lot of people right now are looking for connection. And are kind of missing that. And so if you can frame it in a way that's like, come get connected, we're going to create a safe environment and, you're going to be helping out this mission. I think that's a great way to get involved, as well as text messages too. Once you're in there, doing text messages and updates is a great way to keep people engaged.
Okay. And so our final question, Susanna, is for you. Are you aware of any virtual angel tree options?
Great question. I am not right now of this moment. I haven't seen any, but I would love to see one if you guys have one. But I definitely think, I've thought a lot about how you would create that verbiage. I grew up doing angel trees. My mom was a nonprofit founder, so it's something we did every year. And again, I think going back to creating verbiage that's more like, sponsor a family, or just doing more verbiage that's just a little bit higher level versus saying, you are sponsoring a kid, a boy who's 9 years old, and this is what he wants. You could even do like put wish list items as like an online store and people could go on and purchase those online store items. And then you can kind of do a creative follow-up on who that went to, so that donor gets that connection in there. But kind of modernizing it and thinking about it a little bit differently, so you're not attaching it to a specific person or family, but giving people more of a broad way to support the community that you serve, I believe is the mind frame behind it. But again, if anyone's doing it out there, love to chat. We'll sit down with you and talk through all the best practices and see what we can come up with. More than happy for that one-on-one. So let me know.
Okay. And don't think you have to. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to jump in with one more question. Sorry to just move on, but we've gotten a couple around this. So anytime that there is a baking or a recipe or like a drinks competition, how are we finding that these work even if people are not tasting the food or the drinks? In some cases where we've seen like these virtual bartender events.
I can take this one because I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll get stuck on social media just watching recipes videos. I know that really went viral a couple of years ago, and I just love to watch recipe videos. So you don't need to taste it. I think everyone likes the Food Network, and just watching this content, it just still gives people ideas. You can kind of know what's going to be a good recipe and what's not just from seeing it all go down. So don't get discouraged if they can't taste it, but you can put the recipe on there, encourage people to try them out, and then to post pictures or videos, of their reactions to it. Anything else?
Yeah, totally.
That?
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think with those events, encourage people to make the recipes at home, and then when that kind of together but apart sort of thing where everyone's cooking, even though you might not be in the same room or dunking your spoons into the same chili bowl. Okay, so I'll leave that there. And all right. So thank you all for joining us today. That is time. Again, we'll send out today's recording along with all of the links and resources and campaigns that we mentioned today. So on behalf of myself, Serena, and Susanna, thank you all so much for joining today, and have a lovely afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.